that you know how to write good bullet points, let's try to put that framework into practice and look at a real example. So starting with the work experience section and talking about what employers are most interested in, well, the first thing they want to see again are accomplishments and results. Failing that, what have you actually done in your past? And if you haven't had a lot of experience in their industry, in that function, what might you have learned? In your work experience section, you can include both paid work and volunteered work, but your entries must be listed in reverse chronological order, which means your most recent employment has to come first and then backwards in time. Per entry, you can have at most 3 to 4 bullets. So when you're thinking about how to list them, remember the guiding principles, especially number 1, lead with your strengths. Make sure bullet 1 is the strongest. As employers scan and look at each bullet, if they like the first one, they're going to move to the second, but if they're not, then they're going to just skip down to the next. So make sure the first one is the strongest. Let's now take a look at an example of a classic summer job that some of you may have been a part of, a grocery clerk at ABC Food Store. Now when you look at the entry in the bullets, it looks pretty simple, pretty plain. What I would call a duties-based and more responsibly-based resume. It's not very impressive, and it probably wouldn't get you motivated or excited to want to interview this person. So how could we switch things up and apply the bullet point framework that we've already looked at? Well, the first thing I would do with this client is start by interviewing them and asking them a simple question that I asked before, right at the beginning. What are some of the things you're most proud of that you did at this job? So let's look at how to revise this up, starting with the header information. Leading with your strengths, instead of starting with grocery clerk, which again, unless that's what you want to be applying for and moving up to perhaps assistant store manager in a department store, we should lead with the company name first, right? ABC Food Store, a pretty widely known company in the region here. And notice that the dates are on the right-hand side, right? Summer 2011. So when I sat down and asked them what this person actually did and what they were most interested in, this young gentleman told me that actually one of his most important tasks was working at the end cap displays. So if you look at a grocery store and look at the end of the aisle, those are usually displays that are set up in a very creative way, like perhaps a pyramid of cans, or with a lot of colors and a lot of promotional material to highlight and hopefully improve sales for key items every week. So that was one of his jobs. His job was to design that end cap display throughout the store. So when we looked at applying that to a model here, you can kind of see what we've done. He reorganized the produce section of store to prominently display merchandise and increase sales by 10%. Next, he learned how to use a computer system, and what did he do with that? Well, to update inventory. So another good way to work that and to follow the framework is something like the following. Utilize database to create additional up-to-date inventory records. When asking him about some of the common questions and complaints he would have in difficult customers, he told me a lot of the time most of the people would ask him where to find certain products in the store. So instead of just telling them go to aisle 8, he was very conscientious and he would lead the actual customer down the aisle, show them where the actual specific good was, and even talk to them about what items were on sale that week or which weren't. So that was great, and that gave us a lot of material to work with, something like promoted store and products by answering customer queries and resolving complaints. And finally, because he was a young and motivated employee, when the manager went away on vacation, he assumed the duties of assistant manager. So another great thing to put down here, assume duties of produce department manager during his vacation. So with all that in mind and applying the framework that we've learned, we can totally turn a standard duties-based, responsibility-based resume into something a lot more appealing, something like what you see now. In the next section, we'll talk a little bit about education.